Hi everyone! There's a lot of different and mysterious gizmos in this world that are interesting to almost everyone. We devote to them programs on TV, write books, and talk about them anytime and anywhere. We bet that despite the availability of information, there's still some strange things that you've never heard about. Yeah, you got it right. We've collected for you such things in this video. You intrigued? Well, here they are. 10 things you haven't got a clue about. Let's start. Groundhog Day. The life of this woman resembles the plot of some fantastic film rather than reality. It's hard to believe, but every morning, Michelle Philpott wakes up in the distant 1994. She remembers neither her wedding nor other events of recent years. Her husband starts a new day with helping his wife remember the forgotten, showing her a photo album with wedding photos. But the next morning, Michelle wakes up again in 1994, and so it lasts for 22 years. The 47-year-old woman got these memory problems after 2 car accidents. As a result, she developed epilepsy. Michelle withstood a serious operation. Dead and damaged cells were removed from her brain, but unfortunately the surgical intervention didn't free her of amnesia. Of course, it's quite difficult to interact with people without having the memory of the past days, but the woman doesn't lose heart. She helps herself with her phone and sticky notes. In addition, this dame also manages to work in a charity project where she helps the disabled and vulnerable people. The most expensive pizza. And now we're going to tell you about one of the most expensive pizzas on the planet. Well, not about the one that you've already imagined, but about this one. MeatPizza.com, the domain name that an American sold for only $2.6 million. By the way, it's funny that it started bidding with a modest price of $100. The most interesting thing is that Chris Clark registered the domain pizza.com already in 1994 in order to sell it to a local company engaged in the delivery of pizza and make a pretty penny out of it. But the desired contract never came, and this monkey mind decided to keep a sonorous domain for better times just in case. And in fact, he was not mistaken. The $1 million deal was indeed realized, but much later, and the American was very happy. The truth is that he regrets only that he didn't register another couple of such domains back in 1994. Today, there are a few more sonorous domains that can be sold for several million. For example, the domain vodka.com was sold for $3 million. That's a damn good business, what do you think? Himalayan bees. Well, at least one of you heard about these unique insects. If so, then tell us, why are they so different from their relatives? Many now say that they're so huge that they can throw a scare to everyone, but there's more than that. The most interesting thing of these bees is their hallucinogenic honey. Yeah, you got it. This common sweetness is capable to cause the strongest brain opacities and give you super vision. You can't buy such a product in the nearest supermarket, and even if it were possible, you'd hardly be able to pay for it. Unusual properties of the honey are explained by the fact that Himalayan bees have the ability to collect nectar from special flowers that emit a strong substance. It's precisely this that can make your brain see what is not. But if you're now going to visit the Himalayas to try this magical yummy, don't rush to rejoice. In large quantities, such honey is toxic for humans, but the local tribe regularly collect this product. Men in search of this food walk many kilometers, climb to an incredible height, and also make ladders and protective clothing. We don't know exactly where they learned to hunt so skillfully, but it's possible that the bees once treated the inhabitants of the tribe with honey and told them all their secrets. Poor actor. Even if you are very far from all this modern hype that has revolted around the series and you have no idea who Tyrion, Eurus Holmes, and Rick Grimes are, you probably have heard about the TV series Friends. This incredibly successful series went on for 10 years from 1994 to 2004 and was recognized as one of the best comedic projects in the history of American television. The participation in Friends brought the 6 actors who played the main roles not only fame, but a whole bunch of money. Of course, at the very beginning of their career, none of them could boast of impressive amounts of fees, but Matt LeBlanc literally broke all the records. He was spotted in several famous brands' advertisements including Coca-Cola and Heinz, and got a lot of money for it before shooting in Friends. But despite that fact, Matt had only $11 in his pocket at the time of listening to the role of Joey Tribbiani. Well, maybe he just spent the rest on some dog on wheels. Anyway, the actor was still experiencing serious financial difficulties for some time, and only after receiving his very first fee for this role, he finally managed to buy himself a hot lunch. And it seems to us that it's unlikely that he shared it with someone else on the set. Cosmic diet. Want to lose a couple of extra pounds and feel light and weightless? Then rush to space. Just imagine, an astronaut during a flight can lose about 20% of the muscle mass of their body in just 5 days. This happens because under conditions of weightlessness, gravity is absent and the muscles can simply atrophy. As many of you have already guessed, daily training helps to prevent this. So in space, the regular physical activity is simply vital. And of course, the cosmonaut regime is quite strict. 2 trainings a day: walking, running, squats, raising special cylinders, discs and rubber compounds, because the usual weights here literally don't weigh anything. By the way, these poor fellows can't miss their training. Do you know why? Space simulators constantly transmit the training data to Earth, so the evil guys on the ISS always know who's shirking the exercises. Despite the fact that the cosmonauts are intensely engaged in sports, upon arrival to Earth they'll be very uncomfortable at first. They are even often dragged out of the ship on stretchers because they simply can't walk normally. Boomerang. Sometimes really amazing coincidences happen in our life. We're not talking about random encounters between 2 people with similar names or the coincidence of musical tastes, but about a much more interesting and even startling event. 30 years ago in California, a doctor named Michael Shannon saved an almost hopeless premature baby. It had seemed nothing unusual, this happens every day. The boy, who's called Chris, grew up, also became a doctor and went to work in the rescue service. Well, do you already know how this story ends? That's right. In 2011, it was Chris who first came to the place of the terrible accident and rescued from the burning car a man who happened to be Michael Shannon, the doctor who gave him life. The most cramped place. If you think there are too many people on public transport in the morning, you just never heard of Kowloon. Once this area of Hong Kong was considered the most populous in the world. Just imagine, in 1987, the population density here reached 2 million people per square kilometer. Yes, you heard that right. The district resembled a huge hive fortress, consisting of a heap of sloppy boxes piled on top of each other, and looked, well, let's just say a little frightening. In addition, crime and gambling flourished here, and the area was controlled by triads, secret criminal groups. Fortunately, in 1993, the dangerous area was demolished, and the government built a beautiful park in the best traditions of China. The twist of fate. Probably it's not a secret to anybody that painting and art in general is quite a complicated thing. Even to distinguish one artist from another is difficult, not to mention the definition of the authenticity of paintings. So, for the forgery of works of art, you also need to have certain skills, and at the same time a fair amount of luck. Not only to avoid the police, but also some unpleasant surprises. As, for example, happened to a couple of scammers who sold a fake picture of Francisco Goya for €500,000. It would seem a profitable transaction, if not for one small detail. The money also turned out to be false. Well, it turned out to be an equivalent exchange. What do you think? Island of Garbage. This story is kinda sad. In the northern part of the Pacific Ocean, there's a giant floating bit of trash with an area of about 1 million square kilometers. It consists of tons of plastic and other hardly decomposable substances. It's hard to believe, but the size of such an isle is about the land area of Alaska. It's known about the existence of a water dump for about 30 years, and every year it only increases. This island of debris appeared due to ocean currents, these so-called circulations, that literally catch waste particles and move the whole thing to one place. So all the garbage that's thrown into the Pacific Ocean goes to this islet. All the creatures that live nearby are forced to eat plastic because they simply take it for food. Most of them die, and those who still remain alive are still at risk. Living stones. Have you ever launched a flat stone into the water? And have you ever pondered over the fact that you're sending to flight not some unnecessary object, but a living being? You now most likely will say that we're talking bollocks, but two French geologist researchers, Arnold Richards and Pierre Escolier, don't think so. These guys studied the samples of rocks taken in different parts of the planet and found out that the stones have a similarity of vital processes, but they're very slow. It turns out that the structure of the stone is capable of changing. There are old and young stones. Moreover, they breathe just like us, but they take one breath from 3 days to 2 weeks, and every heartbeat lasts about a day. Scientists photograph stones with large time intervals and manage to establish that they do really move. One of the stones observed by them within 2 weeks has moved as much as 2.5 meters. Of course, this is more like the usual natural processes associated with the mobility of the soil under the influence of water, but the researchers claim that the stones are alive. You may laugh, but there's a whole valley on Earth where there's a bunch of such living stones. It's called Death Valley. This desert is known for the strange behavior of stones that spontaneously roll and bypass obstacles on the way with a barely noticeable speed. And now tell us, did you know about these interesting facts before? And of course, if you like them, don't forget to give us a like as well. Guys, it's time to recharge your brain. Visit the channel Brain Time. There you'll find a lot of interesting and useful facts, lots of positive energy and tons of useful information. Subscribe right now. We promise it's going to be really exciting.
Thanks for watching. Please like and share the video in social networks, and we'll be right back to you as fast as we can.